Hello and welcome to the Engerati studio. I'm Rob Martin. I'm joined here by Jessica Stromback, the chair of Joule Assets. Jessica, welcome.
Thank you very much.
So let's talk about the pain points for project developers, ESCOs, tech contractors, utilities. What challenges are they facing?
Well, of course, as always, it depends on what types of projects you're talking about. But in particular, for example, we have a big push in Europe to really enable energy efficiency. It's called the no regrets option, and it's the cheapest form of energy, and it's all these wonderful things. Well, turns out the projects are really difficult to get off the ground a lot of times. They're always difficult. They're particularly difficult, though, in the segment of the market which is actually most important, which is the lower commercial buildings, schools, households, etc. And the pain points are really fall into two main areas. The first is lack of uptake by customers. Energy efficiency is seen as boring. It's your grandmother telling you to turn off the lights. It's just not something people really take big decisions about. So it's low on the list of priorities. And then once you do have a project sold, unless it's really large, and by large I mean 3 million and above, which very few projects are. I mean, let's face it, you'd have to have a big building before it's going to cost you 3 million euros to put in new lighting or AC or whatever. So then it's really can be difficult to get finance. So they really get hit in both directions, and it's not a good combination. Yeah.
So let's go back to the first part about the PR challenge around energy efficiency.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems that people are becoming more aware of it as not as something just to save the planet, as perhaps people looked at it before, but as a commercial incentive, a commercial drive.
Yeah. Sort of, right? I mean, so yes, there is the incentive there, and there is an increased awareness, and that's a good thing. And governments can do a lot by, for example, providing white certificates and making sort of structures that are easy just to fit your project into. Another thing that can be done that isn't done enough, and I think should be, is you could flip it. You could, for example, if you measure and verify the savings, which you can now with current technologies and smart meters and voltage readers, etc., you could, for example, not sell savings but sell earnings. You could pay the customer what they have saved and turn it into a commodity play. It's particularly easy if you combine it with photovoltaics or whatever.
Okay, so this is about commoditizing
the
energy efficiency
They should, and
program.
they don't do it enough.
So talk to me about the ways in which you can do that.
Well, you can do it through, it's really a sale. I mean, you can do it as a managed service where somebody's literally putting in better equipment in your building and paying you the results. And people don't sell it that way because you'd have to actually take the customer savings and turn it around and give them the money back. So it's a bit complicated, but the more you can commoditize it, the more you can turn it into a managed service, and the farther you can get away from your grandmother telling you to turn off the lights, the more interesting it becomes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you do work in Southern Europe as well as in the UK.
Yeah.
Are these universal challenges and opportunities?
Yes, absolutely. They're absolutely even global. I mean, wherever you are, it's the same. Yeah.
So assuming that project developers want to move forward with an energy efficiency project, how do they get it financed? How does that work?
Well, that's where the second tricky bit comes in. And that is that unless it's a big project, banks will loan you money, but banks will only loan you money like they would loan you money for a house or anything else, and that you then have to have the credit to be able to handle that. That puts an artificial ceiling on how many projects a project developer can sell, because they can never go beyond the strength of their own balance sheet, which is terrible. We've had clients that have actually slowed down on purpose their own salespeople so that the salespeople won't sell too much because they can't handle it. Yeah, it's ridiculous
crazy,
actually, just for a lack of financing.
Yeah.
So, so that's one. And then the other thing is the customers can finance it themselves. And if you're big enough, you can get some funds to do it. What we're looking to do is kind of break down that wall. And so we help contractors and indeed small utilities and technology providers bundle their projects, and then we have a very developed network of financial funds to whom we can go with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe let's finish by going back to the customer, because it seems like one of the major challenges is increasing the priority of energy efficiency in the minds of the end customer. How is that process going to work? And if I can invite you to imagine 5 years in the future where this has become a greater priority for people, what would have happened? What would have changed that has made this from a nice to have to a must have?
Okay, so to be honest, I don't think energy efficiency as a thing is ever going to be a high priority. But I don't think it has to be. I think there's, if you're looking 5 years forward, of course, the more other businesses have done the same thing, the easier it becomes to sell because you've seen neighbors. But the other thing that's happening is that with the tools that you have, you can, in fact, make a more visual savings / payment for the client. Distributed energy and batteries are a big part of this. If you are, for example, selling new light bulbs, it's one thing. If you're selling photovoltaics, new light bulbs and batteries, everything's paying for itself, and that package has already been financed for you. That's much more interesting. You have cool things on your roof, you have batteries which are totally new, and so on and so forth. So that's the direction I really see it going. I think it should become bigger packages that are more commoditized, and it's not just a question. You're not selling the savings, you're selling the earnings and what you're doing.
That sounds like a reasonable vision for the future for me.
Yeah, and it could be done now. That's the thing. I mean, people should begin with that right away. Yeah.
Well, that's a good note to end on, Jessica, I think. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
And thank you for joining us in the Engerati studio. And remember, there are more interviews available on the Engerati YouTube channel. Thank you.